everybody, I have something really interesting today. It's interesting to me. I just finished the restoration of this 19th century harpoon. So you can see there's a little bit of a color change here. Somewhere in here there's a forge weld, and everything below it is what I made. And then what's above it is original. And this is a really interesting piece. There's a couple of things that I want to point out. First of all, right here, you can see there's a little bit of a line, and then you flip it over, and the same thing right there. That is a forge weld that wasn't blended in completely. So if you can imagine, you know, this piece of metal that is the head was lapped onto the shank, you know, kind of like this. And then, you know, somewhat blended in, but you can still see a little remnant of the scarves. And I just love things like that, because that, you know, that's a little artifact of how this thing was made. So another really interesting thing about this is that this harpoon was actually repurposed as a hay tester. I don't know if there's another name for that implement, but so when I got this from the client, it had a handle on it, this handle on it about here, and the shank had been shortened and then, you know, tapered into a square and threaded, and was just secured with a little washer and a carriage nut. And so anyway, so I cut it off and scarfed it, and you'll see that a little later in the video, and forge welded it onto another rod of wrought iron, and then, you know, forged it onto yet another piece to have enough mass to make the socket. Now, there's an irony about this being made into, you know, a hay bale tester, because so often in antique stores, you'll see something that has a tip on it like that, and a socket on it like a harpoon, and they say, oh, it's a harpoon. Well, it's not. It's a hay bale tester. You know, you have to think that during, you know, a whale hunt, or at least, you know, a porpoise hunt, between you and me, don't tell the client, but I suspect this might actually be a porpoise harpoon. It seems a little on the thin side, and maybe slightly small for hunting sperm whale. But anyway, that's here nor there. You have to think that, you know, it's a big, powerful animal. It's injured, it's angry, it's scared. You know, there's a huge amount of torque that is going to be, you know, experienced by this piece of iron. And this is just made by, you know, a rod that's sharpened and doubled back on itself and welded, and then the weld is sort of drawn down to a point. That's a fairly weak connection, you know, and if this is sticking in the flesh of, you know, an angry animal, and I know that's a little bit graphic and I apologize, you know, and it's trying to get away, you know, there's going to be hundreds, if not thousands of pounds of torque on this little barb. And, you know, that would just peel away from the main bar. You know, that's a relatively weak connection to have that just doubled back on itself. So again, so if you see something like this, even if it's got a socket on the other end and they say that it's a harpoon, it's probably not a harpoon. Now, I will tell you that not too long ago, I was on a site, and I saw one of these being sold as a harpoon, and I very respectfully, you know, emailed the antique dealer saying, like, oh, I think what you have there is, you know, is an antique hay bale tester, and I'm not saying that it isn't worth something, and I'm not saying that it's not a beautiful tool, but, you know, I don't think it's a harpoon. And he wrote me back a very terse email saying, like, well, I know for a fact that these were used to hunt seal in Norway, and this, that, and the other. And I was like, well, unless you were there, I'm not sure you know for a fact. But anywho, so anyway, this was a really fun project. I'm now going to transition to sort of, you know, a couple of photographs, and I'll show you the way that I brought it back to its its current condition. Cheers. Quick note about harpoon sockets. They were generally not welded. They were left a little bit springy so that the pole, once the whale was stricken, would pop out of there and wouldn't be damaged as the whale was flailing around. You know, that's different than how it would be made on, say, a chisel. You notice this socket is a little bit weird looking. That's because I'm using real, traditional wrought iron for the all of the parts that I added onto this. That's the material that would have been available in the day, but it's got some slag inclusions in it, and sometimes it delaminates slightly, so it can look a little bit untidy, but that's actually part of the appeal if you're in the know. Alright, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Also, I make my living by selling ironwork, not by making videos, so please check out my website, Downing Arts, and buy something if you're so inclined. Cheers.